Backup, backup, backup. You hear it all the time. You know that when it comes to your company data, that you need to do everything possible to ensure that that data is properly backed up. With a lot of online systems now, that backup really happens on the vendor side or the provider side because you have a lot less control over how to run the infrastructure for backing up your data. Now, granted, you could always do a local backup on site, but if you have a lot of data, it becomes more difficult. Same thing applies to financial data. When you're using a cloud-based financial solution, a lot of times the backup really relies on the provider or the vendor to take care of on the back end, because you might not have access to the actual location where that data is stored. But if you're a QuickBooks Desktop customer, you know that you do have access to your QuickBooks data, even if you use a hosting provider. It's all in the QuickBooks Data Folder, and most hosting providers should give you access to that data. And if you still run QuickBooks Desktop on premises, then you know that you can access your QuickBooks data on your QuickBooks server, or if you're running QuickBooks Desktop locally, wherever you store your QuickBooks data folder. Now, it's important to run backups. And I don't mean just running the local backup that's built into QuickBooks Desktop software. That's great, but that's typically a compressed file that when you need to restore it, it will decompress that file and restore the contents of your company data. But you also have that QuickBooks Data Folder. And that QuickBooks Data Folder contains the native files, your native company file, as well as your images folder, which are key. So if you need to do a restore and you simply drop your company file and your QuickBooks images folder into the QuickBooks data folder, you'll be up and running immediately. Now, that's not to say that you can't restore from a QuickBooks Desktop local backup. You can. But from my experience, I've run into problems with the QuickBooks Desktop local backup a few times doing restore, where during the restoration, I've run into some sort of strange corruption with that file. And fortunately, I had a backup of the native company files and was able to restore and be up and running almost immediately. So when you do backups for QuickBooks Desktop, and you should have access to that QuickBooks data folder, make sure you back up that QuickBooks data folder, specifically your company files, especially if you have more than one company. You want to back up all the company files as well as the images folder, which will contain any logos that you have that are used in any of your templates.